Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Conscious Leader podcast. I'm your host, Elise Abraham. And today I have another conscious leader who you want to know, you want to meet, and who you absolutely need to work with. Her name is Fiona Reddin. Hi, Fiona. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing fantastic. I'm very excited to be here.
I am excited to have you here as well. So, just so you guys know, Fiona is a self love coach, but I'm not going to get into her story. I will let her share that with you because it comes better when it comes from the horse's mouth itself, or in this case, it's from the person's mouth itself. So, Fiona, please share with us who you are, who you serve, and what's your mission.
I am, as you mentioned, a self-love coach, and I know that's a very wide umbrella term because there's so many layers to self-love, but overall, at the end of the day, we want to be able to take care of ourselves, and that's one of the biggest, most important things. And it is something that I struggled with for a very long time through my entire life. I never liked myself. I never felt seen. And then I worked hard to try to prove myself to others. And I was very harsh and very judging to myself because I never felt I was good enough because I wasn't getting the attention that I was hoping for from the people that I wanted it from. So then I kept thinking there was something wrong with me. And I struggled for a very, very long time. Then when I had my son, I did have that postpartum depression, and it just made it all the harder on myself because I knew being a mom is what most women love and what we're supposed to be good at doing. And then here I was struggling with that. So it was like all everything kind of kept cycling through, feeling the same things of trying to do too hard and then failing at it. So after a while, I decided I wanted to do more, and I started doing riding lessons. So I first started doing trail rides when I was younger growing up. It was something that my family enjoyed doing. So then when I moved to this new location where I live, there was a ranch that offered trail rides. So I went for a ride and then I started doing lessons. But the horses taught me so much more than just simply riding because a lot of it was about the energy and the focus and the intention and just being present in the moment and really accepting yourself. So I wasn't able to ride properly because the horses were telling me when I was doing something wrong. So they wouldn't listen, they wouldn't pay attention if I wasn't in the right mindset, if I wasn't in a good place. And when you hate yourself, it's impossible to be in a good place. So I had to learn to overcome that. And I worked on that with the riding, but also with doing groundwork with the horses. So I had one horse that had very low confidence, and I had to work with her to build her confidence, and I had to work with her to become quiet. So in turn, that allowed me to learn because the only way to do something is if you've already done it yourself, and then you can teach someone else to do it. So I had to learn to be quiet and confident in order to help support her to do the exact same thing. So it was really nice to learn that way. And I took all the information, like all that tools and experiences I learned with the horses, and then I put it to my coaching and to be able to put it towards my team as well at my work because I'm a manager over there. So I've been taking everything that I've learned and using it there and encouraging and empowering those people as well to chase their dreams, do what they want to do, and be happy and excited, and to start to trust and believe and love themselves as well.
What an incredible journey that you've been on, and it is not easy, especially with the postpartum, the unworthiness, the people pleasing piece that you had initially, and then now learning to work with horses, where they're sharing with you what's going on within you. Yeah. People pay thousands of dollars to see a therapist, and you just took a couple of riding lessons, and then there it is. The horses were there to support your growth, which is incredible. And like I love horses, and I took riding as well when I was older. And I was going through my own healing journey, inwardly healing journey. So I do understand the value that working with horses specifically, their sensitivity, how you are, and how that goes. But share a bit more about when you were transitioning from that unworthiness, the people pleasing, to now discovering who you are and really finding that self love.
I really hit rock bottom to the point where I thought I failed at life and I didn't want to do it anymore. And I was like, this is like, I'm done. I just couldn't manage it. And I was sitting there and I realized I didn't want my son to grow up with that on his back and be a shadow of his life because I didn't want to impact him anyway. Because even though I felt like I failed as a mom, I still loved him a lot and I wanted to have him have the best life that he could have. So then I went to the doctor to kind of help get support because I knew I was struggling. I knew I needed something. I was actually then diagnosed with bipolar and later ADHD. So I was like, I didn't trust myself at all. I didn't. So like, I felt unworthy. I felt like very harsh, very judging. And now I didn't even know the person I was because the bipolar kind of changes your mindset, changes your perception of yourself. So I was like struggling for a very long time being able to figure out that person and who I wanted to be and be allowed to be whoever it was that I wanted to be. Because I felt like I had to fit into this specific mold that everybody else seen around you. And not being able to fit into it made me very angry and frustrated. And I was yelling and I would take everything personally, whether it was at the store with my team. If someone called in sick, I used to get very angry and frustrated because I thought it was my, like, something to do with me when it really didn't have anything to do with me. And then I would kind of take that anger out on other people, which means, and again, people don't want to be dealing with it. So then they would leave and they would quit. So I had like a lot of turnover, a lot of people leaving, and it just kept building a lot of frustration and anger. And I know I just didn't want to be that person anymore. I wanted to work on it. So as I started to ride the horses and do something for myself, because that was one of the first things growing up, like my mom said we couldn't afford things. So everything I wanted to do, like the extracurricular activities, I was not able to do it unless it was part of the school program. So I was able to do drama club, I was able to do some other stuff. So when I wanted to do dancing, I had to pay for it myself. And then when I went horseback riding, I had to do it myself. And the horseback riding and lessons was the first thing that I paid for myself after having my son. And I felt bad because it's not cheap to be able to do that stuff. And I felt guilty for buying something for me, but that really gave me that kind of turn of saying I'm worth it and I do deserve to have something that makes me happy. And I felt incredible and I felt good being in that energy and being present and learning all that stuff. And that gave me that movement to say I can deserve it. I deserve more of this. I deserve to have the life I want and I deserve to be happy. I know a lot of people say that your children come first and you have to sacrifice your life in order to support them. And I used to do that. And I was tired and was exhausted doing it. But then as soon as I did the writing for me, then I felt more energized and I felt better. And then I realized I could do more for my son. I did have more patience. I didn't get so frustrated. I stopped taking things personally. So I then kind of embraced self care as a way of helping to support myself and learn what I like. So I love having my mind challenged. So learning new languages, writing stories and everything, like just things to make me think is what really makes me energized, making things, arranging things, making them look good and organized. So I took the moment to figure out what drains me, what motivates me, what gives me energy, and what it just is kind of level, like you'll do it, but you don't necessarily get anything from it. So now my focus is on the stuff that does move me and does give me the energy when I need it. And that really helped me realize that I'm a better person because I took care of myself in a better way in multiple areas, like my spirit, my soul, my body, my nutrition, physical, mental, emotional, energetically, like so many different areas. And because I've put so much of my energy and effort into being a better person for myself, it allowed me to share and expand and attract to other people and help them support themselves too.
Awesome.
I think that answered
Um,
your question.
yeah, no, it's detailed and it's a good to know because there are so many people who are going through and experiencing um, that people pleasing, that unworthiness, and they're thinking, especially when it comes to the finances, like financially, I should put XYZ in front of me, whatever XYZ is in their own personal
Mhm.
life. And so for you to say, like you made a commitment to yourself to say, no, I gotta do something. I need to change in order to see the change, right? I believe it's Mother Teresa that said, be the change you want to be in the world, right? Or you want to see in the world, be the change you want to see in the world. um, and so that's exactly what you did for yourself and also for your family. I want to go a bit deeper because you touched on many points with the horses, with the holistic approach to self love. Before we get into you coaching, um, but you did this holistic approach with the emotional and the spiritual and the uh, physical, right? You ensured you took those the little steps, and of course it grew as you were also making a commitment to do something that you love, right? This investment in yourself with the horseback riding. And that's what it comes down to, right? When anyone's working with a coach, they're investing in themselves, or if they're doing something, this is an investment, and that investment is gonna, of course, further to help other people. What Take me through this process? You were feeling unworthy when you were younger. Now you have your son. You have love for your son, for your family, for your husband. But then at the same time, you're going through the postpartum, which for many who have not experienced it, it is tough. It is hard. Yeah. And sometimes you may have to go. Some people may go on medication. But in your case, you decide the holistic approach. Please share with us, what does that holistic approach of healing as a self love coach look like?
Yeah, I did for the bipolar end up going on some medication, but I didn't like how I felt from it, so I just kind of cut myself off. But I do use the essential oils to help support, and I put that into my coaching program as well. So, like you said, the holistic side of it. So my symptoms related to the bipolar and ADHD, I manage it now with the essential oils, and I manage it with my self care and my self awareness. So I make a point of being very aware of my being at all times, to be present and to really acknowledge and feel the feelings that I've been having. Because if I try to suppress them, then they become even harder and worse. So that was a lot of what my process was just accepting the feelings that I have, accepting the emotions, accepting the moods, not trying to control or suppress them, but just learning how to move with them and learning how to use the tools to be able to help support it. So if I get into like a manic state where I'm very hyper, then I've learned to use the self-care that calms me down, and I've learned to use the essential oils that will help bring me more calm, like the lavender and a lot more of the grounding oils from the grass and everything like that. So I journaled, I wrote down stuff, and I got to the point where I stopped judging myself because I realized that I'm doing the best I can at the point that I can do it at the time that I know. And as I open myself up to learn more, then I am changing and I'm growing and I'm learning more stuff, and I'm learning to stop the trauma and accept and appreciate what has happened to me in the past and what I struggled with as a child that led me to being this person, because without that, I would not have been able to overcome the stuff that I have. I wouldn't be able to have learned more about who I am and to be willing and able to share that to other people to help them become the people that they were meant to be. Because it's hard when you feel like you haven't been seen for so long, and then all of a sudden when you start getting that scene, like that attention, it's scary, and you're trying to shy away and you're trying to go back to the old routines, which is self-sabotage, because you want to ruin the relationships because you're not used to having that attention even though you've craved it for so long. So it's really just accepting the struggles that I went through, and um, just learning how to deal and manage it, and then just help other people to do the same thing.
So I appreciate that honesty um, with your entire experience, because now you are developing and growing and nurturing. You're essentially healing your inner child, healing your womb, and that's part of that holistic journey. And for many women who are listening, um, and or who may be going through this as well, know that when you're dealing with self love, that is part of it. You have to heal the inner child. And so this is why Fiona is saying she did the journaling, and she did in her case, she connected with horse riding. So she went back and she invested in the horse riding. but then the essential oils is such a huge part. Once the essential oils work, then you get into the meditative state. So all of these things actually go hand in hand and they work together. Share with us. I come to you and I said, Fiona, I need help. I suffer from low self esteem or low self worth. I'm feeling saddened and or depressed. What what do you offer? How can you support me? Because I'm doing the mirror exercises for the self love things, right? I'm doing all the other things that so many other self love coaches are professing works. But you're sharing with me that there's essential oils that can help me through my postpartum. You're sharing with me that being out in nature can support me and nurture me and heal me. Eating um, nutrition rich foods can support me physically in shedding the extra weight that I've been holding on to. And it's not just even the weight, but just like that's weighing you down physically or giving you brain fog. What does that look like?
One of the things that I really like to work on first is the self-care portion of it. So just finding out, kind of doing, actually, I have a client and I asked him to do this, and he pointed out that it takes time to be aware, but just to really find out and to learn to be aware of what's giving you your energy and what's taking your energy away. Another part is a lot of people get very overwhelmed very easily when they first start this. And it's because they're so busy with everything. So it's kind of narrowing down to put boundaries in place and to be able to say, okay, let's claim your time back. Let's claim your energy. Let's learn how to boost the energy so that way you can learn to take the time you need and to use that energy to start the healing process. So if you do have like self-low or self-esteem, self-worth issues and all that stuff, you can't start there because you've already told your brain for years and years on end that you're struggling and that it's not going to work. So I know like a lot of people when they first start, like if they listen to free content, if they look at books and everything, they're like, oh, just look in the mirror and tell yourself every day that you love yourself. And I can appreciate and understand how that can help. But if you're already struggling and you're overwhelmed and stressed out, telling yourself that you love yourself is going to be hard to believe it until you're in that right mindset to be able to get to that point. And it's hard to get to that point if you haven't done that moment of being able to say, well, what does my body need to take care of itself? What do I need to reduce the stress? One of my uplines had mentioned before that we look at stress like a benchmark. Like if you are put in a situation and you find it stressful, staying in that situation, staying in that stress, your body gets used to it. So all of a sudden, the stress that used to be up here is now down here. So as you start to work your way down through stress, and same thing with the self-love and all the other ways, as you start to work yourself up, you got so used to the standards of saying that you hate yourself or that you're struggling with your worth and that your self-esteem is so low that you're not going to be ready to be up here to say, I love myself right off the bat. You need to be like, okay, well, why do I hate myself? What caused me to feel this way? Where did it start in my life? And how can I change that voice that I hear inside my head to be able to move up to the point where when I say I love myself, I actually know I truly mean it and I am actually feeling good as opposed to feeling bad about trying to say it and trying to cheat through a system that may not necessarily be working right away. So I feel a lot of the stuff that people teach with self-love right now is very surface level, and it really doesn't get down deep enough to understand the individual person. Because even though journaling can work for a lot of people, there's a lot of different ways of journaling, and it has to be very specific to the person. So what the way I journal isn't going to necessarily work for the next person coming. So I need like self-love for every person is personalized and they're going to know best what works for them. And I'm just there to guide them and kind of say, well, how do you feel about this? What would this do for you? And just kind of share some of the insights, share some of like the importance of boundaries. For example, if you're struggling with time, well, then you're could be because of the boundaries of the overcommitment. It could be your boundaries for yourself because you are people pleasing and nurturing. You touched on it for women, especially. we're born to be nurturers. We're born to automatically people please. We're born to take care of people. Even in the 50s and 60s, home economics classes taught women how to take care of a household, taught women how to take care of their husbands, how to make sure they have a good day. And it was always everything about everybody else, but there was nothing taught to say, how do you take care of you? How do you make sure you have a good day while being able to take care of all these other things that women have to do? So it's very important to be able to learn that part of it and schedule and take out time in order to do that, to be able to start to build your self confidence and your self esteem and self worth. Like those things are the things that happen after you've learned to accept and be truly ready to dig in deep. And it gets very deep and it gets very emotional and vulnerable. And my journey, I can't even count how many times I've cried, how many times I wanted to give up, how many times I thought I wasn't good enough and I would never be able to do it, because it's not easy. You're looking back and you're digging through all that pain that people put on you, you've put on yourself. And it's hard to sit in that because we've spent so long suppressing it. We've been taught as kids to suppress it. Um, One example right now, my son, he's going through a lot of raging emotions. So if he's losing, he's not getting frustrated. He's raging. He's so angry and he's like throwing stuff and then he's getting very upset. And my first reaction, as I learned from a child, because that's the way we learn from generations coming down, was to get angry back and say, stop behaving this way. You're not supposed to be getting angry. You need to stop it, or you're going to your room, you're going for a timeout, or I'll give you a reason to get angry, right? Like it was the fear that was put into us to say, stop what you're doing now, or else kind of thing. And I'm finding it very draining on my own energy at the moment because I'm trying to work at not reacting that way. So it's taking me to say, don't react to him, stay calm. Even though he's throwing stuff, he's getting angry, he's slamming things. A couple of times he's went to hit me and stuff, and I'm just like, just stay calm. Because right now he needs to feel that rage. He needs to feel those feelings and to figure out how he can get over it. So once he's calmed down, like I would sit there beside him reading while he's kind of having his meltdown. And then when he's done and I can see him calming down, I'd be like, okay, well, let's talk about why you're angry. Let's talk about, why do you feel this way? So one of the things is he hated losing. And I was like, well, why do you hate losing? And he says, because people make fun of him and people laugh at him. And I was like, are they laughing? And he was just like, he kind of paused for a second, right? Because that's his perception that, if you're losing, then it means people are going to laugh at you. So I'm not too sure if they are or not. But I told him I would never do that. I would never be the one to laugh at you if you're losing, because I love losing, because that's where you learn the most. That's where you get the opportunity to really understand what is not working and how to change it to do something that works. So I'm like, I'd rather you fail. I'd rather you lose. I'd rather you do all this stuff. And then I just tell them to take a couple deep breaths and stuff. So every day I'm still working on my self-love. I'm still working on the things that I've struggled with. I'm still working on the things to help me move better. So as I'm leveling up, everyone else around me too is doing the same thing. So, and I told him with his anger, like he can't, like it's good to feel it, but he can't let it control his reactions. He needs to be able to learn how to breathe through those and to say, okay, I'm angry because I'm upset, I'm in pain, I'm hurt, I'm tired. There's something wrong with me at the moment. I'm out of balance. So I'm trying to teach him then to be like, what do I need to come back into balance to myself, to be able to move forward? What do I need to speak? What boundary do I need to put in place? What do I need to feel in order to do more of what I am supposed to do?
Yes, and that's a whole process in itself. What people don't recognize when they're working with a self-love coach is that you're getting into these layers, and these layers take time. These layers are painful, and the emotions of anger, the emotions of aggressiveness will come out, and also how women or girls react when trauma is coming up versus how boys or men react is very different. They're like it's very different. The boys tend to be more expressive and aggressive in that way. So you're just being your honesty and sharing about that self-love journey. You're teaching your son, your home as well. Yes, something's happening. What's going on here? Why are we acting this way? But you're not doing it when they're already at, level a million. I'm not responding to you when you're acting like this. They have to calm down, right? Because you're not feeding into it. And then you say, what's going on? Why are you angry? What? And what this transition, and I'm sure you've seen it, the first time it happened, it took a longer time, but now it's probably less and less. Like he's quickly coming back to himself, like, oh, she's not responding. Okay, what's happening. Now, that doesn't mean that when he goes out there, that's what he's going to do and he's waiting for someone to acknowledge or not acknowledge him. What you're training him, and this is psychology for, guys go read, read the latest psychology training and parental training that's out there. They're showing you how to help your children during these times with social media and all of these things happening to control their emotions, to learn to master their emotions. And we have to teach it so early on, and we have to do it in the home because this generation is growing up completely different from how you and I grew up. And so just helping him to start processing it and to identify what the issue is. Why is he feeling that way? So then he can move, not necessarily move on and forget it or stuff it down, but to release it. He's able to release it in a healthy way by speaking and saying what's going on, instead of trying to get aggressive or violent, or having a tantrum. So that is a lot of work. And this is not only with children. I'm pretty sure you've come across adults that are like this as well, who that you've worked with. You touch on a spot, and then all of a sudden it's like DEFCON 9, like it's highest alert because they don't know how to express it. They don't know how to release it. They're not sure what they're doing. So good on you for the work that you're doing with with your clients, with yourself, and in your home as well, because you're showing I do this at home. I practice it on myself. So what I'm sharing with you is not something I don't practice at home. So good on you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly.
One question, two questions before we go. In your opinion, not in your opinion, what do you believe a conscious, who is the conscious leader? What is conscious leadership to you?
It's being aware of your actions and how it impacts the people around you. So you may not necessarily be in a leadership role, but you're going to have people around you that's going to be looking to you to see your reactions, how you behave. And it's just being very mindful of what you're saying, to be compassionate, to be sharing, and to be open, and to knowing that you can learn from other people and they can learn from you. And just being an example. So I don't ask people to do anything that I've never done or that I wouldn't do if I had to do it in that situation. And I feel like that's very important because it builds that trust and it builds that, well, she's not getting me to do it just because she doesn't want to do it. Like there's things that I ask people to do all the time that I don't want to do, but if I have to do it, I do it and I would do it. So it's just being respectful to those people and empowering them to feel good about the things that they have to do.
Fantastic. And how can we get in contact with you?
My Facebook, that's right there, is the main one that I do use to be able to reach out, connect. I share my content there. I do have a group. My website, FionaReddin.com, is another one. That's a work in progress to make it the way that I want it to be, to show up and share for people. But I usually hang out at Facebook, and that's where you would be able to find me most often. and the messenger for DMs and stuff.
Thank you so much, Fiona, for joining me today, joining all of us today on the Conscious Leader podcast. I appreciate you, the time, the honesty. Like this was just very raw, your journey. I wasn't expecting the conversation to go this way, but I appreciate how the conversation went because you went deep in and you were very vulnerable. So thank you for that. If you guys enjoyed the podcast, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel. As well, if you want to learn more information about self-love, how you can grow in it, how is loving yourself going to help you in business as a leader in your industry? At your workplace, get in contact with Fiona today. She will be there to help you peel away the layers like an onion to reveal your authentic, true, loving self. Have an incredible day, and I will see you on the next episode.